Hello and welcome back to my channel and my BX Dungeons and Dragons solo campaign. We were in the middle of my Barony creation mechanic and the development of our Barony. Now hopefully in this session I'm going to be able to complete that process and satisfactorily get to the point where we have a completed setting. Really at quite a high level, but still enough detail that we can effectively visualize the region, visualize the societies that inhabit that area, that space, the hostile forces that are impinging on the what would be classified as the free peoples, and maybe some of the region's history as a feeling for the recent events. And give us that kind of 3D time dimension for the overall setting. Well, that is the objective. Quite a bold brief at the start, but we are going to get there together. I've got a color photocopier, so what I've done is I've got two versions. I've got the original that we did the other day, and I have taken the liberty of actually just colouring it in a bit more, so it looks quite a bit more pleasant to the eye and also discernible. Still got all my detail on it. However, it's got a bit of a kind of glossy finish because of the crayon. So what I've done is I've taken almost a duplicate photocopy. And I will continue with my scribblings on that, and it'll be a lot easier for me to do that, and effectively I can replicate everything when we come to doing the final version. I've taken the liberty of outlining the extent of the barony with this red line, and that gives us an idea of the 7 hexes that are part of the barony. And just as a quick recap, we had these elven ancient woods to the north. We had the jagged mountains chain to the south. Our marshland was out to the west, and the waste, the barrens, which were quite debatable, they are out to the east. So what we're going to do is continue with my deliberations on the barony, and we're going to look at one area that we didn't go to much detail was the placement of demi-humans. So this would be the elves in the forest and the dwarves in the mountains. So Irithiel continues with her conversation about the barony in general, and she says, beyond the barony, in wilder lands uncharted by men, there live both elven and dwarven kind. The elves reclusive and detached from the world, the dwarves active miners and secretive in their ways. So these are the 2 population groups that we need to assign to particular hexes in our region. So let's start with the elves first. Why not? The elves have citadels, which they represent larger population centres. They typically number 10% of human equivalents. The capital is 1,000 inhabitants, and the other citadels 1d5 times 100. Watchtowers, these were the other. So I think in our generation we created 2 citadels and 5 watchtowers. Now, watchtowers are residents of noble families in their retreats, keeps and towers, which serve a dual purpose of local surveillance and protection. They are the home to under 100 elves. So they are almost like, if you can imagine, if you've ever read the Coram books by Michael Moorcock, he's one of the Eternal Champions. They live in family groups, and I'm assuming something quite similar to that, but maybe on a slightly larger level, in quite graceful towers or whatever these local elves have been able to manufacture into construction. So, you know, that's the kind of idea. And, you know, a low population, but probably quite a powerful group because of their intrinsic magical ability and lore and knowledge. So what we're going to do is we're going to place watchtowers in each hex and randomly distribute the citadels across the forest hexes. So we've got these 5 forest hexes here. So what we're going to do is we're going to place the capital, the largest one, and that's going to be the one that's got our elven king or queen. Because I've got, you will note, the ruler can be male or female and is referred to as king or queen. So we're going to define whether we have a king or queen of the elves at the end of this placement of population. So let's find out where our capital is. So we have 1, 2, 3. So we have our capital. We will put a little triangle here. And we have a population of 1,000 elves. So I'll just put 1 there. And that's we'll just have a little, fill that one in black. So that's where our capital is. We do have a watchtower. We have watchtowers in all of these. So I'll put little circles for the watchtowers. And they have under 100 elves. We also place randomly the next population thing, because we've only got 2 citadels. So let's find out where our other citadel is. It is next door in here. So we'll put this one here. And this will have a population of 1d5 times 100. So it has got 300 elves in here. So I'll put 300. Okay, so that's us placed our elven population. Let's determine if we have a king or a queen. It's a 50-50. 1 to 3, it's a king. It is a king. Quite emphatically a king of the elves. So I will put elves, and we have a king. Okay, so that is our elves placed. Now let's move on to our dwarves. Now they have a much more debatable area. They've got all sorts of shenanigans going on here with volcanoes, a dragon's mountain, a blackthorn marsh, and a great chasm, all kind of coming in, impinging on their area, their pristine mountain range. Let's find out where they are distributed and what their population centres, what the numbers are that we're talking about. Dwarves have strongholds which represent their major settlements. These are highly fortified and largely underground. The residence of the Dwarven King, now I'm just going to say it is a king because of it's got a kind of patriarchy. The Dwarven King is 5,000, and the other strongholds 1d3 times 1,000. In each of the hexes, we've got mining camps and local clan holds are much smaller, and the former more temporary. For each, determine whether it is a camp or a clan hold. Populations are 1d5 times 50 or 100, depending on the camp hold type. So, I've got tippy there. Type. Place camps and holds in each hex and randomly distribute the strongholds across the mountain hexes. So let's find out where our strongholds are. And I thought, when I was thinking before, and I said, well, maybe it's going to inform our decisions where these strongholds are. I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm just going to just to roll. I'll roll 1d6, and if I get a 6, I will place them in the more benign hexes, which actually is probably this one, and you know, to a lesser extent this one, because it's got the Blackthorn Marsh, but it's right in between a dragon and a volcano. You know, would you really want to live there? That is the question. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is freeform. So let's find out where our capital is. And remember, we've got 2 dwarven strongholds we have to place. So the first one's slap in the middle, and that's probably a good sign. So we will put a black triangle there, and this is going to have a population of 5,000 dwarves in that mountain. So we've got a great big dwarven stronghold right in the middle. pretty close to an area that we're going to be visiting in our first adventure, because we're going to Blackthorn Marsh. So let's find out where our next dwarven thing is. We've actually gone for the Great Chasm, so maybe it is at the one end of the Great Chasm. It could, you never know. The Great Chasm I've got is a kind of an awful place, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's a very rich seam of gold or some precious metal that's been basically exposed by this seismologic event. Some great maybe fissure has opened up, called the Great Chasm. Who knows? This is probably something that we can develop, is the origins of some of these things. What this dragon, where does that come from? The volcano, what's the origin of that? That type of thing. Actually, we get quite exciting further down the line. So we've got our, we need to do a population of that. So it's going to be 1d3 times 1000. So we've got a 1000. So I'll put a 1 in there for our dwarves. And we also have, in each of these, we will have either a mine or a camp. So let's find out what we've got in our first one. A 1 to 3, it's a camp. So this is a clan, so I'll put C for this one. Basically put an H. H for hold or clan. Is a clan hold or camp. So what's this going to be? This is an hold as well. Not too many mining camps so far. What have we got? We've got a camp here. We've got a camp here, and we've got a camp here. Probably, I would say that's the most benign one. And 1d5 times 50 for the camps. So let's find out just exactly how many dwarves we're talking about. So we've got 150 here. 150. 50 near the volcano. Imagine. It's pretty tough working conditions for the dwarves, that one. We've got another 150 here. Okay. And then for the clans, who are larger populations, we've got, the first one is 100. And this one, again, 100. So dwarves, I suppose, population-wise, we're probably on the low end. It could have been much higher. It could have been around about 10,000 dwarves in total. But we've got probably something in the region of 7,000, if that. Might even be around about 6,500. Okay, good. So we have done the two major demi-human populations. We've also got the halflings, just to determine what halfling settlements are. They number 1d6 times 100. So we've got halflings here in this barony hex, and we've got halflings here in this barony hex here. So this, remember, this is pasture and meadows, and this is good farming land. So halflings probably expect to have a larger population here, but who knows? So the first one is 500. So I'll put 500 here. And the halflings in this one is only 100, so I have bucked the trend on that one. So just a bit of an outlier. Maybe they like their pastures and meadows. It has got a river going through. Maybe they got their mills, like a little mill operation going. Who knows? And I was thinking, the fact that we've got Westmark in this hex, we've got this large lake. It's probably likely that Westmark is probably going to be located right at the top of this, probably on the lake, and that could be part of its economy. So that's a good way to get the capital placed. Right, we're on to some of the exciting stuff. We've got placement of hostiles. So these are the hostiles we're talking about. All the nasty tribal groups out in the wilderness. And Irithiel continues, she says, "Let it be known, our barony is threatened on all sides by vile and hideous foes." You're telling me, Irithiel. Pray continue. Roll randomly for the placement based on distribution of allowable hexes. They cannot share hexes with others of their own racial group. Right, so we've got 5 different components here. I've got orc tribes, I've got goblin tribes, I've got evil men, hobgoblin tribes, and kobold tribes. And the definition of evil men in this particular setting, this will be a stronghold of renegades and bandits who have formed a community beyond the barony and attracts malcontents and evildoers from across the region. Population of 1d 3,000. So, you know, it's one of these like a robber citadel. My goodness, that's awful. Other monsters will be in lower numbers, but all BX monsters are present in our barony setting and are located in specific areas appropriate to their habitat. For example, fire giants will reside near the volcano. So now we know where our volcano is. We know if there's any fire giants, they are going to be living around about that, either inside it or at the base or whatever, wherever fire giants find appropriate. So we can do the orc distribution. And what I've got is I've got different terrain categories. I've got mountains, barrens, hills, plains, and forest. I'm going to have 1 to 3 orc tribes. So I'm just going to note up here, I'm going to have orcs. What else have I got? I've got goblins. I've got evil men. Hobgoblins. And kobolds. Good old kobolds. Right, so let's determine how many tribes we have of each of these, and orcs are 1 to 3. So let's get the black dice of hostiles. We have got 2 orc tribes to place. Okay, that's good. Or not so good if you are living next door to them. We've got goblins, 1 to 3. It's 3 goblin tribes. Yeah, so there's a lot of goblins. Evil men are going to be 1. Hobgoblin tribes 1 to 2. 1. Kobolds 1 to 2. 1. Okay, so it's really just the goblins that are the largest population group. Maybe not as much of a threat as it could have been. It could have been 3 orcs as well, which would have been quite nasty. You know, two orcs is. You know, if I was looking at just based on the type of monster they are, these orcs, if they were together, they're probably the strongest group. Although evil men, if they can be basically, if they come up with about 3,000, you know, they could be quite a force depending on when they are. So it all comes down to where we're going to place them on this map now. And let's use the orcs first as our guinea pig. No pun intended. You know, I didn't really think of that. You know, the pig-faced orc. But they're going to be in the mountains, the barrens, the hills, and the plains, and the forest. So we have, what I do is I will add up all the different criteria and do a kind of random distribution based on that population. So mountains, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Barrens, I have 3. So that's 8. Hills, I have got rough hills, and I think I will have, I'm not going to have the Barrow Downs in this, I'm just going to have the rough hills, so that's up to 9, and then 10 and 11, and actually I've got the forests, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, so I'm going to have to roll a 1d 20 and ignore the higher numbers. So let's find out where our first orc tribe is. We get an 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we've got orcs out here. So I'll put orc 1. We're going to place our next orc. So that's maybe a good thing that are way out in the plains out there. So they might not be too much of a menace. And we've got 7. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So there's a bit of a pattern here. maybe these orcs are going to have a little bit of a confederacy, a bit of a faction going on. Okay, so we've got that on the go. We've got the 2 orcs placed. Goblins, they also follow this distribution criteria. They are in mountains, barrens, or hills. So that's going to be these 5, these 3, and this one. So that's 9. So we'll do a 1d10 and we'll ignore the 10. So the first goblin tribe is here. So we've got this one, G-O-B. So that's our first one. The next goblin tribe is 6. So it's in near the blasted waste. So goblins are up here. And the next goblin, the last one, is an 8. So I think that's going to be this one here. So again, a bit of a concentration of goblins. If you think, like these are all 20 miles each. So, I suppose, this is as close as they can get. So the orcs here, goblins here. This could be definitely a focus for and I will come to something called my power block faction rule later on. I'll be able to illustrate that, and this will give us the appetite for whether we are going to have some shenanigans with the barony later on in this presentation. What about evil men? And this could be quite important for the barony, just exactly where these guys are. We've got hills, moorland, barrens, and plains. So we've got this one, moorland, barrens, and plains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's do a D8 and ignore the 8. So 5. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So barrens. So we've got 2. We've got evil men, and evil men in the barrens. So evil. Very close to the barony here. They're probably going to feel a bit uncomfortable. There's only 1,000 of these humans in that town. Maybe it's going to be a military garrison protecting all that good farmland that is there. Evil men probably wanting to think, oh, this place is rubbish that we're in. Really could do with getting in there, doing a bit of mischief. So we've got the evil men. What about the hobgoblins? We've got one of them to go. And hobgoblins live in the marsh or the barrens. So it's going to be a 1d6 and ignore the 6. So they are going to be in, oh my goodness. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got hobgoblins here. Hob. And our last one, which is the kobolds. And we're saying the fellwood, so that one, the forest, these 6, these 5, and the barrens. So that's 6, that's 9. So let's do a d10 and ignore the 10. So the kobolds are, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we have kobolds in the forest. Okay. I'm not going to do the size of these things. I'm just going to say they are tribal groupings. Make that of what you wish. Based on AD&D, we're talking maybe around about 400 to 500 creatures in each of these tribal groupings, if not more. I don't really need to have those details just now. I've just got a rough kind of tribal grouping. And we've got 3 goblin tribes, for example. We've got 2 orc war bands, or whatever you want to call them. Okay, so we have done all that. We've placed our hostiles. So we've got our what would we classify as free peoples. So our free peoples down here, and our hostiles up here. I'll just get a little ruler for that, so it's a bit clear. And our free peoples down here. We could do, there is one population that I could do, which is the evil men population, and that's going to be 1d3. So let's see how potent a force these guys are. We have got 2,000 for them. 2. Okay. So on the larger side, quite a dangerous threat, I would say, for our poor barony. And maybe some of the dwarves in the mountains. Okay, let's move on. We've got the next stage in the process, which is placement of dungeons. And Irithiel says, now, in fact, actually, old Hemlock takes over this because he is the expert when it comes to places of mystery. And he says, now we must talk again of places of mystery, and I will show you where they reside. I will point on the map where in good time you must search. So I had 4 specific dungeons that I had alluded to. We randomly assigned ourselves to the Haunted Keep of Blackthorn Marsh. So we know where number 1 is. Blackthorn Marsh is here in this hex. What about the Cursed Tomb of the Fellwood, the Shadowmaster? And it says locate in Fellwood. So that's easy. We've got the tomb, so I'll just put a T-O-M-B, so that's an easy one. That's done for us. The Forgotten Shrine of the Blasted Waste, locate in the Blasted Waste hex. Right, that's easy too. So we've got this forgotten shrine. Well, it's maybe not that forgotten. We've got the shrine, put an S there, in the Blasted Waste. What caused that awful, looks like an explosion, some sort of crater. And then the Ancient Barrow of the Withered Heath, Thane Asdrul. Now I've got a choice here. I've got either the Barrow Downs, which are here, or the High Moorlands, which is going to be one of these ones, 25%. And the fact that it's called the Withered Heath, I thought, well, maybe that, if it is the Moorlands, we'll call that the Withered Heath. But otherwise, the Withered Heath is part of the Barrow Downs. So 75% chance. So I'll do 0, 1 to 75. So I'm going to have to do, that's just going to be my percentage dice. I'll just have to get my percentage dice out. And I get my D10. So let's get rolling. 0, 1 to 75, it is in the Barrow Downs. 58 it is. So we have the Ancient Barrow, appropriate. So I'll put the Barrow. Okay. Right, so that's us done. That's us done the placement of our dungeons. Now, obviously, this is not an exhaustive list, but these are the key ones that we've highlighted that old Hemlock has experience of. So either he has been there or he knows adventurers that have gone and explored this and related back, basically maybe under his kind of contract. So here, 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 and here in our map. Okay, and it's always quite nice to just have a kind of indication at the back of our mind of all these places to go, and they do exist. Right, question that we had was, what do we do with empty hexes? And Irithiel now says, you may well ask what lies beyond these lands we have charted on our map. Let me tell you now. So, northern hexes, including the western hex. So this is all, so if we look at our map, we've got these hexes here that are all in white, these two, these ones, and these ones are just, some of my shading hasn't really worked too well. This is the barons that I've got, that are in grey. So we've got quite a number of eastern hexes, we've got quite a lot of northern hexes, a few southern and a few western. So the actual detailed instructions that we're going to be following for the northern hex, including the western hex, so that's going to be that one as well. That's not going to be classified as west, so that this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So that's all of these. There's a 20% chance that Northern Barbarian Territory otherwise unoccupied. Okay, and the Northmen may count as a hostile faction. They only need 1 territory and have a power of 3 per territory. So this will become obvious when we come to my little mechanic that I've got to simulate some conflict. Terrain will be forest, rugged hills, or moorland. So I think what we should do is determine what the terrain is, and then we'll work out whether it's part of the Northern Barbarian kingdoms or jarldoms or whatever you want to call them. So I'm just going to do a straight 1d6, and it's going to be 1 to 2 it is forest, 3 to 4 is rugged hills, and 5 to 6 is moorland. So the first hex, it is going to be forest, so we'll put forest. This one is forest again, so we've got an extension of this forest going into here, and this is probably not the elven section of the forest. This is probably going to be empty forest, potentially part of this. It could be claimed by the Northmen, who knows. This one, again, more forest, so we've got forest. Next one is, that is going to be, what did I say? Moorland. The moors. And the last one, we're going to get some hills. Yes, we are. We've got hills. Okay. So there's a 20% chance that each of these is part of the Northman kingdom. So our first hex, let's find out. We get a 0-6. It is. Oh dear. So that is not great. So we have a Northman here. They could be mischievous in their operation. They have appeared in the campaign at last, because we didn't have any characters from the north, but now we have an encroachment of the Northmen. We have a 66 for the next hex, so no, they're not there. We have the next one. That is a 26, so no. Our next one, the Moorland, 82, no. And our final one, the hills, was going to be 31. So no, so the only one that we have a Northman presence is this hex here. So that is going to have a bit of an impact. So that's us done all our northern hexes. I can get all that coloured in. What about the western and southern hexes up to midpoint? So this is all the western hexes here, and the southern hexes up to the midpoint. So say some of these were free, we would take it up to the midpoint. But all of these, we are saying, any hex on the edge is an outer province of the West Kingdom. Terrain will be forest, gentle hills, or farmland. So if it's actually on the outer edge, it is going to be part of the Western Kingdom. If it is interior, it is going to be just, it isn't got any governance at all. It is a free hex, a bit like these rolling hills. So these three are going to be part of the Western Kingdom. This one is going to be free, out with the Western Kingdom. And terrain will be forest, gentle hills, or farmland. So let's find out. And I would say that this one is unlikely to be farmland, or if it is farmland, it's going to be what we have with the light forest and the pasture and meadow. We'll probably go for that if it is. So that will make it a bit easier. So this is going to be forest, gentle hills, or farmland. This is gentle hills, so we'll just put hills. The one at where the river's coming through, it is forest. This one is forest. And the one that's going to be out with the kingdom is forest too. So it's all forest. There's a lot of forest here. This is a kingdom. This is kingdom. This is kingdom. And this is independent. So it's not really claimed by anybody. That's not to say that there might not be someone there. Okay, so that's us done the north. We've done the west and the south up to the midpoint. What about the remainder? Oh, in fact, actually, I should have looked at my extension there. And what we're saying is that actually farmland is treated as a barony. Oh yeah, farmland will be treated as a barony hex, yes. So that's what I meant by that was, if we had a farmland one, I would calculate the fact that we would have some settlements comparable to the barony. Not that it would be classified as a barony hex. So let's have a look at the eastern and other southern hexes. Terrain will be scrubland, rugged hills or barrens. Inhabitants will be steppe nomads and dervish camps. Nomads may count as a faction and will follow a conflict trajectory. 20% they count as power level 3. So again, that will come through when I explain that particular part of the process. But let's find out exactly what these 4 hexes are. So we're going to have scrubland, rugged hills or barrens. Again, it's just a D6 for that. So the first one, the top one is scrub. Yeah, in fact you can't see that, I don't think. It's just out of the camera. This one is barrens. This one is barrens again. So there's a lot of barrens. The barrens are extending. And the final one, I got a 2, which is scrub. Okay, it's a very debatable land out towards the east. So that's me populated all the hexes on the map. We do know that there's going to be some nomads here. We've got some Northmen up here. These are kingdom hexes, but it doesn't look as though they're very populated. There's no farmland ones. It's mainly forest. Okay, we move on. And Old Hemlock says, "What grand tales and stories men have wrought in these dark times. The barony has had its fair share. Let me tell you of times past, and you will see with fresh eyes the lands you survey." So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some recent history, some recent events, and we're going to perform a check of the recent history of the barony and its surrounding regions and how this may have been influenced by outside forces. So yeah, this is going to be hopefully quite exciting exercise, and hopefully we can get this all within this particular session. I seem to be doing okay on time. So with this process, what we're going to do is I've got 2 categories in my what I call my recent events and history section. I've got what are dominant themes and major events, and these have occurred in the last 1 to 12 years. These are important to the barony's peoples and will impact the campaign directly, particularly if still ongoing. There's a percentage chance they're still alive based on individual assessment. So I will see what that event is and I will make a bit of a judgment call on that. And then also we're going to roll for minor events in the last 1 to 8 years. And these are local and of lesser importance. However, each individual event may escalate. And again, I've got percentage chance based on individual assessment. And what we're going to do is we're going to combine these into an historical timeline of recent history that the narrators can relate to the characters. So the idea is that we get a nice little timeline that we can generate. I'm going to get my timeline sheet of paper out so that we can do the last probably up to 12 years of history and populate it with our individual events. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a 1d3 dominant themes and major events in the last 1 to 12 years. So, and I have this table here, which I've got on my recent events table, and I have 20 events that I've cobbled together from all my notes across my AD&D campaigns and my D&D ones, and I've kind of put them together into a consolidated one appropriate to my BX setting, and we are going to roll on that table. So let's find out just some of the parameters that we're talking about. How many dominant themes, so I'll put dominant, are we going to be dealing with? So it's 1d3 plus 1. So we are going to have 2 dominant themes. And one of them is going to be, let's see how long ago this one was. The first one is going to be 1d 12 years ago. So 4 years ago. One is 4. And the second one is 7 years ago. 2 is 7. Okay, so we can place that on our timeline when we come to it. So I can put 7 years ago and 4 years ago. Okay, so that's going to be our dominant. That's going to be number 2. That's going to be number 1. Okay, we're also going to have 1d4 plus 2 minor events, and they're going to be the last 1 to 8 years. So I'll put minor here, and we're going to have 1d4 plus 2. So I'll get my 1d4 and add 2 to this. So we're going to have 1 plus 2 is 3 minor. And our first one, second one, and third one are going to be 1d8 years ago. So the first one is, I've got my d8 for this, that was 8 years ago. First one, minor. Second one was 6 years ago. And the last one was 5 years ago. So nothing really very recent. They're all, so I've got 5 years ago, and that is minor 3. We've got 6 years ago, and that is minor 2. And we've got the oldest is another minor 8 years ago, and that is minor 1. Okay, so let's find out what exactly these events are that we have inflicted on the barony. We've got a 1 to 20 roll on this table. Let's find out what our dominant themes are for within the last 10 years. So our first one, which was a dominant, number 1, which is the most recent one, 4 years ago. This is important. We get a 5. And in recent events table, 5 is raids, brigandage, a growing menace, coordinated or local. So in the last 4 years, there has been a lot more raiding, brigandage, and it is also whether it's coordinated or local. So we'll just do a straight 50-50 on that. It is coordinated, so there is something sinister going on. So we can read into that and maybe kind of weave up. But all we know is that this is probably dominating recent history. And I can do my thing where I say there's a percentage chance it's still live based on an individual assessment. And I'm saying it's probably because it's so recent. Let's come back to that and see whether it's live. So I'll just put a little asterisk based on all the other ones that we get, just so I got a bit of context behind that. There might be other strands that can interface with it. Let's see if we can weave that into the narrative. We've got our other dominant, which was 7 years ago. So my goodness, what could this be? 15 on the table. Corruption, corrupt official, random town. So the fact that this is a dominant one, means it's going to be very up there. Maybe this is we've got a bit of a malaise in the current one of freehold that we've been noticing, but this is different. This is on a different scale. This is corruption or a corrupt official. So let's have a look. And this must have been a real scandal, because and what I can do, because it's major, I can maybe extend it to some more towns. But let's find out what town we are talking about. And I think on our population we had 9 towns in our map. Yeah, we had we've got, in addition, yes, we had 9 towns. So let's just do a D10 based on going in order from the bottom up, and that's just going to be whatever town it is. So we'll get a D10 and we'll find out what particular town we're talking about. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do it. So we're talking about town 3. So we've got, so that's not going to be Westmark, and it's not going to be this town of 2000. It is freehold. So our town of freehold. So corruption, corrupt official, freehold. Freehold. All right, so we've got something going on in our own patch. You know, that, you know, and it is major. Maybe it has rocked things. So yeah. So is this still ongoing? You know, that is the question. So let's say maybe there's a 50% chance that this is still live and it's still an issue. And I have noticed that there's quite a malaise. And remember, we were noticing things about the sheriff's castle, the fact there were strange things being shipped out. You know, what is going on with this sheriff? Is he in a corrupt official? Is there corruption going on? I think we have to do 50% that it's still alive and kicking as an issue. And then I'm going to go away and find out exactly what I can weave in. So 39 it is. It's still alive. It is alive. We'll come back to the raiding and the brigandage. That seems to be a bit more kind of low key in comparison. The fact that this is right on our patch. Yeah, that was done randomly, but that just shows you what's going on. So yeah, a bit of corruption in the go back in the day. So we can move on to the minor ones, and you know, these can escalate into something more important, just depending on what we get. So we've got number 1 of our minor, which was the oldest, which was 8 years ago. So this happened 8 years ago, and it's 18. Okay. Besieged by enemies, recently attacked. Roll randomly for all major settlements in Barony and lands of the demi-humans. So 8 years ago, one of our settlements was attacked. Roll randomly for all major settlements in the Barony and lands of demi-humans. Okay, I will. So we can do, so if I just put besieged by enemies, recently attacked. So attack and a siege. We don't really know what enemy it is just now. Maybe we just need to, that's something I can maybe come back to. But we can find out which location was besieged or attacked. So we've got any of these settlements here, the 9 here, and also we've got, adding on, we've got our capital for the Elves, and the capital for the Elves and the other citadel, and the Dwarven capital and the Dwarven stronghold here. So that in total, that is 11, that is 13. So let's just do a D 20 and just ignore anything above 13. So we've got 3. I don't believe it. That is going to be freehold again. Because 1, 2, 3. So freehold was attacked. This is having everything thrown at it. It was attacked recently. And let's see who would be the likely candidate. We've got goblins over here. We've got goblins here. We've got kobolds up here. We've got it could even be this dragon. Yeah, maybe that's the dragon has maybe made a bit of an appearance, got a bit angry. Thinking, I can't get into that dwarf place. I'm really fed up. And these people in freehold, they keep on giving these dwarves supplies. I'm not to do a bit of a lake town on them, come down and swift about. So maybe that's what happened. Maybe it's the dragon from the mountain. Or maybe something's lurking in the Great Chasm. Maybe some trolls came out and thought, right, freehold, they're ripe for it. They look like easy pickings, maybe avoid that capital. Could be anything. So I think I'm going to have to come up with a little table for the next episode and just say, why was freehold? What was the story behind that? Yeah, and is it still important? Is it going to be escalated? So I'll do this as to be defined on that one. So there's been an attack or a siege on freehold of some sort. It's either humanoids, or it could be some terrible fire drake or something like that, trolls. Right, we're on to 6 years ago. 6 years ago, and this is, thank goodness it's a minor. Although I think a lot of major stuff has been happening to freehold. We are on 2 on our little chart. And 2 on our chart means, just lost my chart, where is it gone? Number 2 is monster incursions, defensive frontiers, activate some power block factions and randomly determine conflict flashpoints. Okay, so we have a monster incursions. That was 6 years ago. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back to that, and I've got that as a flashpoint, and I can activate one of my factions if I want to, once I've actually determined what the factions are going to be. Okay, so we can come back to that one. All will become clear when we come to the actual factions and the monsters side of it. And then 5 years ago, I've got another determination. 7. So, all right, okay. So we have a weak ruler in the West Kingdom, manipulation by Kingmaker. And now, because I've got this as a minor, what this might mean is potentially it has not much impact on the barony. Maybe they already had something that basically the West Kingdom doesn't have too much power over this region. So maybe this is all it's done is just basically entrench that view. So there's a weak ruler in the West Kingdom. And there's a Kingmaker. If it had been major, what I might have said was the Kingmaker or someone has maybe got designs on the barony and maybe wants to involve the barony in his political scheming. But probably what we've done is we've said, right, we've just got this Kingmaker situation going on. The West Kingdom has got really nothing to do with us. It's more kind of navel gazing with its own internal issues. We're probably okay on that. Right, so that's actually done all our recent events, and we could have had any one of 20. So we've probably got away with it, apart from if you live in freehold, in which case you've had a bit of a hard time there. Okay, so let's move on. We've done the recent timeline. let's do a definition of some of the region's hostile power blocks. So what we're going to do with this one is we are going to hand it back over to Irithiel, and she says, "Our frontier lands are always prey to incursions from the forces of darkness, which gather beyond our reach. The clash of sword and shield is a sound oft heard across the Westmark." And we go, yes, that is a sad reality, a sad fact of living in a D&D world. You know, it's all about conflict and clashing of swords and shield. But deep down, as adventurers, we really love it. This is our bread and butter. You know, we really need to be in these frontier regions. So carry on, Irithiel. We are hanging on your every word. You know, pray, continue. So she says, wherever there are concentrations of hostiles in a region, there is a chance we have a power block which can challenge the incumbent or the neighbouring barony. Okay, that sounds interesting. How is this going to manifest itself? If a region has 2 or more tribal groupings of any hostile races, we have a potential power block or faction. Okay. And by region, what I mean is any of these geographical formations that we have defined. So, 2 or more. And just to continue with this train of thought, they will seek to attack the incumbent, but if the barony shares any adjacent hex to a faction member, there is a chance they attack the Westmark instead. Oh dear. And then I've got the chances of conflict is being calculated, and if the conflict, we roll the level of hostilities. So we could get involved in a little mini war, or maybe a full-scale war, because it goes from raiding and harassment up to full-scale war on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, so let's find out what our factions are and whether they are posing a threat to us. And we also have the potential activation of a monster incursions, which is going to be one of the flashpoints, which we can use. And I can do a kind of special on that and maybe say I can mobilize some factions from out with the area. So, you know, this barons thing, maybe there's going to be orcs that could be involved from the plains. Maybe that's something I can do. So let's have a look over here. We do have one faction, which is our Northmen up here. And I think I said that the Northmen could do something, even if they were only one faction. So maybe that's going to be my incursion that I can do. I could activate. We don't have anything down here. We don't have anything here, 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 or here. So we've only got one faction in the mountains. I can't see any other that I've written down. So we've only got goblins here. So that does not qualify. We're not going to have anything in the mountains. We do have quite a lot of factions in. We've got 4 in the barons. And the thing is about the barons is there is no resident, there's no incumbent. The nearest we're going to have is one adjacent is going to be our barony. So I would say that there is a good chance that we are going to have a conflict, and it is going to involve 4. In fact, it might even have 5, because it's got these evil men too. Imagine if all of them come together. Yes. So I can actually see the time. What I might have to do is, I know it's on a bit of a cliffhanger. Before we have this little faction conflict, I might need to just say, right, we'll just have to extend it into the next session. I can guarantee that this does not take too long, but it's probably going to be too long for this session. We're going to get way over the hour, and I don't really want to go into that kind of territory. And I think I'd rather give it justice it deserves, and maybe just have a bit of a step back. I can gather my thoughts about the timeline, how I'm going to play this particular monster incursion in, the fact that we've got a large grouping of hostiles here. We've got an imminent conflict potentially with the kingdom, I think I really want to play that out properly. The only other one that we've got is kobolds in the forest, and there's only one of them, so we're not going to have a factional issue there. We've got one in the plains, and there's nobody next here. We might be able to activate these nomads. Again, that might be quite an entertaining thing just to take separately. So as a possibility, we've got the Northmen, we've got the nomads, and we've definitely got a good chance of having quite a large monster hostile group. That's on the basis that all of these decide to coalesce into a power block, because they all share the same location. Some of them might not be too happy. And we could say maybe the goblins are more likely to be together, and maybe the evil men have kind of banded them together, and also the hobgoblins are likely, but maybe the orcs would say, no, we're not interested, unless maybe if you can give us a bit of a share of the loot, and you know, give this barony a bit of a bloody nose, maybe we would be interested. Okay, yeah, I think we've probably done enough for this particular session. I'm just going to carry this into the next one. I think it's going to have an exciting denouement, whatever it is. I'll get this timeline properly written up and see whether there's any other issues I want to tease out just after a bit of thought about it. I think that's probably the best thing to do. But really the purpose of this exercise today was to get us up to this situation where we would have not only a geographical view of the barony that we're in, but also just a bit of an idea about where the hostiles are, where the populations are in the territory, and a bit of the recent history and some of the things that are going to be potentially impacting us. And we have found out the Freehold's been quite impacted by this recent events. It's got two things on the go, which are corruption and the fact that they have been attacked. We might have had the tantalizing prospect that it's maybe not just a humanoid attack, but it's maybe this dragon or some other monster that's decided, has taken a bit of dislike to the place. That might be quite exciting to play out as a narrative. Okay, good. Right, I'm satisfied that we have reached the end of the road for today. Thank you very much for watching and indulging me in my little pet project to have this barony mechanic explained to you and illustrated. Just as an interesting sideline, I did do an exercise. Yes, I did an exercise before when I was testing out all my stuff, and I thought, you know, I was trying to just roll up a barony, and I got a completely different result. So it does look as though maybe it is quite pointed and directed, but basically this could be any generation really. And this shows you what the difference was. We've got like Westmark right in the middle, and the barony was only 5 hexes. We had the forests over in the east. We had the barons in the west. We had the mountains again in the south, but they took up a bit more room. And we had the marsh in the north. And our lake, I think our lake was, where was our lake? Our lake was over here, right over here in the east. And what a difference that is from here. So yeah, you know, this basically generates a different result every time, and it's just been the roll of the dice that has given us this distribution of populations and territories. Okay, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.